Microbrew Gamer.
Welcome everybody. I'm really excited today because I get to try out a new beer, and a good one. It's a Hefeweizen. I traveled out of state and found a new microbrewery. Went to Bennington, Vermont and found the Madison Brewing Company. And they make a Hefeweizen. Life is complete. And I'm also going to talk about a game I've been wanting to try out and play for quite a while. I've been waiting for it to finally come out, and it's finally out. Got to try No Man's Sky. Alright, so first off, let's delve into what is a Hefeweizen. Now, a Hefeweizen is a German beer, if you haven't guessed, and it's traditionally from the Bavarian region of Germany. Now, Hefeweizen literally means yeast beer, if you translate it, quite literally. And it's created by about 50% Pilsner, 50% wheat. They use a special strain of yeast, and by German law they have to be top fermented. And that special strain of yeast during the fermentation process creates that nice banana clove sweet flavor. Also, the beer is unfiltered, so it gives it its cloudy, turbid look. A little cloudy. Now, the beer is a sweet beer, so it's very low in the bitterness, and it's high in the carbonation and sweetness. So if you like sweeter beers and not the bitter ones, this is the one for you. Now, if you filter it, and you clear out all the yeast and the wheat proteins and make it a nice, clearer, lighter beer, you get what's called a Crystalweizen. So very similar flavors. But Madison Brewing Company in Bennington, Vermont, decided to mix it up a little bit and actually change the recipe. They still use the German yeast, which is awesome, so it's got that nice clove banana finish. But they decided to go with 50% wheat and 50% pale malt to give it a more richer body. And they did quite well with this. Oh, that's good. I got to live in Germany for a while and developed quite a taste for Hefeweizens and Crystalweizens both, and they did very well with this one. Yes, phenomenal. All right, on to No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky, a game I've really been looking forward to playing. This game was just released this past August by the indie developer and publisher Hello Games. It's a sci-fi space exploration survival type game. It's got some elements of trading, it's got some elements of combat, and it's definitely got some crafting elements as you try to improve your equipment, make new stuff as you survive and explore this vast universe. Now, the creators of this game, Hello Games, decided to do something really cool and new that has not been done before. They created this vast universe that is completely procedurally generated according to some mathematical algorithms that they developed and all the game assets that they've created. And so every player's experience will be slightly different. All the worlds, the music, the creatures, everything is procedurally generated. Now, the creators say that you can play and explore up to somewhere upwards of 18 quintillion different worlds. That's huge. But I wouldn't want to try to explore all those. That would get pretty repetitive, for sure. Now, the game looks good, and it plays well overall. I'm really enjoying it. The game has about two things you can do to play through it. Two main things I would say is follow the story. Try to follow the story by going to what's called these Atlas devices and learn more about the history and the galaxy, the inhabitants, and ask some questions about life, like what is life, and some life lessons. If you chose to go that route, which is all right. It doesn't get into too deep a storyline, but it's nice. Or you could just power through, do some exploring, and power through to the center of the galaxy, which is how you complete it. Or you can just take your time and just explore and play. Now, There's not a lot of multiplayer in this. Really, seems to be a big gray area with the multiplayer. Hello Games says it's not impossible, it's just highly unlikely you're going to come across other players. But they said you can. Some people have tried and failed to be able to. And I would definitely see that it probably is pretty difficult considering everything is procedurally generated for everybody. So it'd probably be pretty difficult other than having one party as the host, kind of like they do in like Minecraft, Terraria, and some of the other games. But I think multiplayer, part of me thinks it'll detract from the experience. The game is meant to be a one-player game, first-person perspective, one-player game for the survival mode, and I think it would take away from the whole isolation of exploring this galaxy by yourself, trying to survive without any type of help, support. I mean, you've got the alien inhabitants and some NPCs to trade with and other civilizations, but there's no real player-to-player interaction, and it's meant to be kind of isolating like that. But at the same time, I mean, although a lot of fun, and I don't get bored too quickly, the crafting, mining, exploring, and then hopping to the next world, I think after a while can get boring, and I think multiplayer would really add a lot of replayability to this game and add some more longevity to it. I also think commercially it would be vital to add some multiplayer because that's what a lot of people want, and a lot of people are upset that they don't see a good solid multiplayer in it. I think overall with updated patches or whatever, or DLC, they should probably add that in, but that's just my opinion. And that's from kind of just an overall standpoint, although I don't mind playing this through alone, because I do like playing some of those survival games where you're on your own. But I will definitely enjoy it if they add the multiplayer playing with some of my buddies. Now, the game controls are pretty smooth. The gameplay is good. I did notice some stuttering that had me a little concerned. The one beef is that the controls are smooth, but you don't have the options for customization for your controls. I can't change the buttons around, and then I thought it would have been nice if they included that. Now, sometimes although looking beautiful, the graphics, sometimes they look a little washed out, and I think they can crisp it up a bit, especially hopefully with the PC version. I hope they kind of crisp it up. I haven't tried the PC version yet. It was a few days behind the PS4 release, so it's only out for PS4 and PC, which angered some gamers too that have Xbox One or other systems. But that's what I'm playing it on, is the PS4. But I think overall it's a solid game. I think that it unfairly got a lot of flack and is going to be overly criticized because it was overhyped badly. And I don't believe by the game company. I think they did some good marketing at first. They made it really a lot of ambiguity. It looked really cool. You got those screen captures, the little gameplay footage. People's imaginations ran wild. Like, wow, you can do anything. It's amazing. And I think as it went on, they tried to tone it back down as they noticed the hype got out of control because they're like, well, there's some limits here. We're only doing this, and this. And I think the hype got so big that people are disappointed because they feel that it overpromised and underdelivered, but I really think the hype got out of control and that this is a good game, but it's going to get unfairly criticized. Not to say that it's perfect or it could use some improvements, but I think it's a solid title. I was a little surprised that it got the amount of marketing and attention it did get, being an indie game, and I was a little surprised at the full retail $60 cost. I'm not sad that I paid the $60 for it. I'm really enjoying it. It can be argued that it's more of a $40 game. Leave that up to individuals to decide. I'm not broken up about how much I spent. I am enjoying it, but let's see how long that lasts, how much I explore and before I get bored. I am going through and trying to do the story mode, which is cool, but I'm not going to get into the storyline because I don't want to give any spoilers. And I really think it is something that people should play. It's really, I don't know if it's a must play, but it's definitely a good one. I'm enjoying it, but only if you like exploration games, survival elements, and crafting. it's not big into the combat. There is some combat, but very limited. You can fight with, you can obviously kill some of the, wildlife. You can fight with some of the inhibitants or these little drones that come after you if you start doing too much damage to the world. But overall, I would say I would recommend this to anybody that likes that genre of games. It's not for everybody, but definitely a good one. Another part that I want to pick apart actually, before I forget, is the inventory system. I think it's pretty good. I like that they limited the size because really you have to really manage your resources. That's part of the survival part. You only have so much room on your person or in your ship. But I did feel that the inventory for the resources you collect was a little too small and for what you needed to do for crafting to repair and stuff. I felt it was a little too restrictive, a little frustratingly so. I just think they should have included a little bit more room for a few more items. But that's just a personal thing. Others can argue that's just the right balance. But overall, pretty happy. Was definitely excited. I didn't get too much into the hype, so I kind of stayed back and just caught a few glimpses and tried to ignore it as much as possible, and I think that helped out a lot. Alright, you guys have been great. Alright, well that was fun. We checked out No Man's Sky. So, overall thoughts? Madison Brewing Company? Must stop by if you're in the area in Bennington, Vermont. The Hefeweissen, although it's a seasonal beer, only going to be available during summer. If you're there during summer, it is a must drink. And as far as No Man's Sky, overall I felt it was a good game. A few parts could have been polished a little better. The lack of customizable controls. The game did stutter on me a few times. Some of the palettes seem to be a little bit washed out in some of the graphics and coloring, but overall, very good. I think the biggest problem with it is the ambiguity about whether or not it's going to have multiplayer, and I think multiplayer will really add a lot of enjoyment to the game and extend the life of the game quite a bit. I think without it, people will get bored pretty quickly. There may be over 18 quintillion planets, but you're doing the same thing over and over. The biggest problem, I think, with the biggest gripe people are going to have is that the hype just grew too big and has overshadowed the game. The game is a good game, but people expected way too much as the hype skyrocketed. Is it a $60 game? It would definitely be a solid $40 game. They really went, they did something new. They really did something cool with the procedural generation that's never been done before. And they did it well, so it really works. But whether it's a $60 game or not is really up to people's personal opinion. I'm not sad about forking over the $60, but a lot of people might be like, it's more of a $40 game versus a $60. I wouldn't say it should go for any lower than $40, but it's still a solid game. I think if they add the multiplayer, full multiplayer in it, that would definitely make it a $60 game. I'm currently enjoying it. Whether or not continuing playing without the multiplayer, am I going to get bored with it? Probably eventually, but as far as right now, I'm definitely enjoying it. At least a good 30 to 40 hours of gameplay if you want to just smoke through it to the center of the galaxy. A little bit more if you want to follow the storyline with Atlas. Overall, it really depends if you like that genre. I wouldn't call it a must-play unless you really like the exploration survival with a few of the crafting elements like in Minecraft or whatever. It's not very big. One of the other beefs is I think the inventory start off with the amount of slots are a little too small. Makes it really tough and a little frustrating in the beginning. But overall, good game, solid game. I am happy I bought it, but let's see how much replayability it has. Only time will tell. See if we get bored with it or not. So once again, good beer, good games.